Good evening. Well, I had planned to get a few more of the Avon stories posted before I did my own story, but I have had a lot of interruptions today. I've been right here all day, but it's been kind of busy in a lot of different ways, and so I got one of those stories posted, and I'm trying to listen through them because I like to hear everything before I post something. So I am on my second story, and I know there's at least two more representatives who will be telling their stories, and I don't know if I'll get both of those posted or not. But I wanted to jump in here and tell my story since I said I'd be on here at 8, and it is 8:02 right now. So, hey, Michelle. Okay, so to begin with, let's go back before my story began. My story as a child. My grandmother, on my mother's side, sold Avon products in South Alabama, Bruton, East Bruton, actually. I did not even actually know she sold until more recently. I thought she had just helped her sister sell the products, or worked as a helper for her. But my mama said, no, she was an Avon representative herself. So I don't know if this was, I guess, after my parents were married, maybe as I was growing up. I'm not sure. I remember her having Candid around, and that was her fragrance that she wore. And I remember Rich Moisture Cream being on the dresser top when we would go to visit. Well, up in West Virginia, where my daddy is from, my grandfather was collecting Avon bottles. There was an Avon lady who came by the house and would sit down with them. I think that's what they did then, was just sit down with a catalog and go through it, and he would pick out the bottles he wanted. I should have pulled a couple of those to show you. I've got a lot of his bottles. I actually technically own, I used a lot of the vehicles and collected more vehicles from other people and from yard sales and things through the years, and decorated my son's bedroom with those when he was young. So he took them with him when he moved out, or at least when he bought his new house. And he has them in his living room, decorating his living room. He's got them on prominent shelves. So that really makes me happy that my son, is proud of the Avon bottles. In fact, when the boot came out, the 50th anniversary of Wild Country, he was like, oh, am I getting that? So I had one to demo, and then it went to him. I may have even given it to him for Christmas or his birthday or something, or I may have just given it to him. But anyway, he's got the boot now too. So I've got my grandfather's old cabinet, and I've got Avon bottles that were his in the old cabinet, along with a lot of my Avon memorabilia, and also other treasures that I've gotten through the years. It's kind of overstuffed with goodies. And behind me you can see Avon awards. So I've got quite a few of those back here on the shelves. The Mrs. Albies, and some of the awards that we got at Pre-C Tributes. But let's go back to the beginning of my story. I had never planned to sell anything. I was actually using another company's products at the time because of a lady I knew who sold those products, and I went to one of their parties and all this kind of stuff, and had been using them, some of them, for a few years since I'd been out of college. I was a newly married. Like, I got married at 28, I think, and I always forget. It was in 1985. How about that? I know the year I got married. May 25th, 1985. And our first daughter was born in August, on August 16th. Today, it's her birthday, the next year. So that was in 1986. And in that, right before she was born, we bought this house that we are living in now. This room right here was not here because we added on this room and a bedroom for our son and a laundry room. The bedroom has a bath, so it's a guest room now. More of a junk room right now, but it's a guest room. So we added this on, and this is my office. It's a big den, and that's why you see laundry back here. That's the laundry room. There's almost always laundry hanging in that doorway. A lot of the time it's my daughter's scrubs. But anyway, I digress. So we bought this house. I quit my job as a secretary, and we had our daughter all at once. And my husband was kind of in panic mode. But I was like, no, I plan to stay home with her, and I'm going to be staying at home with her. We can do it. So I've always been the money handler for our family, the one who made sure the bills got paid and the money was stretched as it needed to be and all of that. So he is happy to let me handle all of that. I will not be the wife whose husband dies and she doesn't know what to do. It would be the other way with us. So, yeah, even I understand that he would have to pay taxes on my Avon earnings. There's no way he would know what to do with to even find my records for my Avon business. So, but I'll be gone. I won't care if that happens. If I go first. I digress again. Okay, back to how I began my business. I was a new mom at home, had quit my job, bought the house, and there was an Avon lady coming to my house. Now, I cannot remember her very well, except that she was young, and I remember talking to her at the front door at least once. So possibly she came a couple of times. I must have ordered something from her because I know I was one of her customers when she quit, not long after that. This was just right after we bought the house. She was there, and then she wasn't. And back in those days, people were assigned territories. Avon representatives were assigned territories. So she left, and there was nobody taking care of her customers in this territory. So there was a lady named Mrs. Donnie Durham who was coming from down in Harvest, Alabama. Well, I live in Harvest, but I'm really Monrovia. She was down on McKee Road, which is several miles down the way. And she was driving all the way here to bring me brochures, to get my orders. I remember sitting on the couch. This has been over 31 years ago, okay? And we would sit on the couch and look through the catalog, and she would show me the flyers with the discontinued products. I guess, I don't know if they were calling it the outlet then or not. And I would pick out what I wanted. And I can remember buying some things that I still have, some gold star earrings and some gold bow earrings. Now, I think I bought them from her. It's possible I bought those after I began my business, but I'm thinking that I bought them from her from the outlet maybe. And I can remember buying Night Magic, let's see, Night Magic Musk. I think we still have, do we even have that? Night Magic Evening Musk, that's it. That was the fragrance I bought, the first one, and it was some kind of a little compact that had the fragrance inside, I think. Been a long time. So that is what was going on. She was coming from a distance, and she said, Sandra, would you like to become an Avon representative? That's probably just the way she asked me. And I guess I thought about 5 minutes or less and said, I think I would. And I kind of just made that decision without consulting my husband or anything. I don't remember consulting him. And so I guess it was a day or two later that the district manager came. We didn't have leadership then, so representatives were not signing up recruits. They could just turn in the names to the district sales managers who were assigned to a territory of quite a larger territory of representatives, and they were the ones who would come and do the appointment. Now, not long ago, when I was sorting through something, I found my sales dealer agreement, okay? And there it is. There it is. This is the little paper that tells me that I am now an Avon representative. It just says Avon Sales Dealer Agreement. On the inside, it has my name and says, intends to begin acting as an independent sales dealer in products of Avon Products, Inc. on 4/3/1987. And down in the agreement, it says that I, the sales dealer, agree to pay $15 for the order taking privilege. So that is what I paid to begin my business, $15. And right now you can do the same 31 years later for 10 and get more than I got for my 15, okay? That's only until the end of this week, and then it goes back to, unless they pull a little surprise on us, which they haven't. I really don't think they will. I think it's going to go back to the $25 being the lowest price kit. But anyway, they did extend it a little ways. And so apparently her name was Betty. Yeah, Betty Jones was the district sales manager for this territory. I had to move, by the way. My videos I did earlier today were in front of a window, and it is nighttime now, so I had to sit in front of my computer and remind myself every now and then to move the mouse here because I'm using that as my light. So if I go dark, it's because I get carried away talking and forget to move the mouse. Okay, so yes, that's when I began. And I celebrated 31 years back. If you add that up right, make sure I added that right. 31 years back in April. Okay, so I began my business thinking I'm new to the area. We were, like I said, assigned territories, so I was given, you know, from here to here and there, north, south, east, west, kind of a block. And that was my area. And I was told to just be responsible for that and go door to door and leave brochures. Well, I would actually knock on the doors. I put Bonnie, who was just a few months old, in her stroller and started going around. Let's see, that was, she was born in August, and I had knee surgery like the first part of January and started my business in April. And so I had been recuperating from knee surgery and was just back walking. I was off my knee for a month with an infant. Well, she was just not quite crawling yet at the time, I think. So anyway, I put her in the stroller and would go door to door and knock on the doors and just ask. And there were more women at home at that time. You know, I'm Sandra Moore. I'm the new representative for this area. Would you like to receive Avon books? And if they wanted them, I would leave them. And when I picked up customers, then I usually would just, I was nursing my baby. So I was never gone from home more than 2 hours at a time because she needed me. And I would, a lot of times, just go to the door and leave a book. I can remember one of my very first customers, Paula Thrillkill, I remember, saying, Sandra, I never see you. You just leave a book and run. I said, yeah, unless you've got an order for me to deliver. That's kind of what I'm doing. And that's the way I still do it. If I don't have an order for them, I just leave a book at the door or, you know, whatever location they want me to leave the book. And then they can contact me with an order. I send out a reminder, but anyway, I'm jumping ahead. In the early days, like I said, no leadership opportunity, and I was just going door to door. We turned in orders every 2 weeks. We're still turning in orders every 2 weeks. We did it very different then. We had, you know, like the SAT papers. I don't know how they do those now, but I assume they still fill in the bubbles for SAT tests. We filled in little bubbles on a booklet for our orders and would take that, put it in the envelope and take it down to a drop location and tape the amount of postage on the front of it. And then all of those were collected and I think carried to the airport maybe. All together on, you know, the next morning or whenever it was that we turned them in, then they were all carried and shipped out at the same time. So yes, very different now with everything that's gone to the internet. So I have been there from before internet and just kept right on going through. In the early days, it was a way for me to meet my neighbors, and mostly the people I was seeing were church people because I've always been very active in the church and at Madison Church of Christ, wherever we were then. That's where my husband was when we got married, and since I moved out to his area, that's where we have gone ever since. So I had all of those friends and knew 1 or 2 neighbors because there weren't as many houses around on our street at that time anyway. Out here in the Harvest, Monrovia area where there were not a whole lot of subdivisions around, they have built like crazy since then. And there are thousands of houses around me now. So as time went on and we went on to internet, well, as I was saying, I was wanting to get to know more people outside my church family, just to be an influence, really, for good, and to not just be with my Christian family, but to get to know other people. How's that? Okay, so that's what I was planning, you know, and broadening my group of associations. And also it was going to help with all those little birthday parties that all the kids get invited, because we had Seth 2 years later, actually only 22 months after Bonnie. So I had toddlers, and then my nieces came along, and I started my brother's 2 little girls, one, and then I think 4 years later the other. So there were always toddlers in the house, and they went with me to do my deliveries as I did them, unless my husband was home. I only had them during the daytime, 4 days a week, the nieces. Then as the kids started school and the leadership opportunity came along, I got involved in that because the manager at the time, Nancy Smith, encouraged me to do that. I didn't do it right from the very beginning because I still had the toddlers and just, you know, wasn't really ready for that. But with encouragement and them starting, everybody getting into school, even the youngest of the nieces, I decided to go ahead and jump into that. So I had to get my first recruit, and then Nancy Smith helped me with some leads of people who were interested in Avon. And I got in touch with those and got them signed up. My first recruit was a friend from church, and we got going. I have never, in 32 years, missed turning in an Avon order every 2 weeks. And I hope never to miss turning in an Avon order every 2 weeks as long as I continue my business, which will go on for the foreseeable future, Lord willing. And so I have never missed that. Even when Seth was born, they said I have kind of a funny story about that. We were in the hospital. He was a little bit early, 5 weeks early actually, according to due date, but he didn't have to go into any kind of preemie anything. He was fine, except he had some jaundice. So they said, we're going to have to keep him. And I said, no. We can't stay because I have to turn in an Avon order. And this was still when we would fill out the bubbles and take it to the drop point. So they said, okay, you can go home, but he will have to come back for 2 or 3 days, you know, whatever it was, every day. I'm like, okay, we can do that. And went home that night. I won't get into all the details. That was a rough night because our daughter was having a little trouble adjusting. She was only 22 months old, having a little trouble adjusting. Now, this wasn't the night he was born, of course. This was like 2 days later that we went home. And I filled out my little forms for my order. And my husband carried it down the next morning. I mean, I was up late. I was tired. I just had a baby. But I was not going to miss getting that order turned in. And I didn't. And I never have. So, with the internet, it's just been such a change. And as the kids were getting into college age, my kids, I said, okay, we got to buckle down, double the efforts, get more customers, get more recruits, just work this business more full-time than part-time. And so Bonnie left for college in 2004, and it's been kind of like that ever since. This has been a full-time business for me, and it has worked out very well. My husband will retire next summer, we hope, unless something changes or they convince him to stay or whatever, you know. And he's got a few plans of his own. I think most of his plans are still in his head, and he's not letting me know about them. But he's thinking he might want to do some other kind of work, and, you know, if not, I'll put him to work helping me. He can become a Avon partner or something. Maybe I'll teach him where the records are in case I go on before him and he needs to know that. But anyway, yes, as he prepares for retirement, his one major concern is insurance. He wants to be sure we can afford the insurance. And so I'm building the business, building the recruit base. We have currently, you know, I haven't even checked the numbers today, but I think it's 90 representatives on the team with 8 more pending. 3 or 4 of those are second generation to me, which means my team members recruited them or they signed up using my team members' codes. One of them didn't even, she said, I think the lady just wanted to be a customer and maybe accidentally ordered that kit. I'm like, no, I don't think she could have accidentally ordered the kit. And it did appear that she had been a representative before. So she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess maybe she does want to be a a representative. So she got one accidentally. Didn't even plan on it. So now she's studying the leadership opportunity. Last night she was asking me, Sandra, how do I learn more about the leadership opportunity? And I'm like, this is how you do it. So hopefully she'll be building a team. And a lot of people just aren't interested in that aspect. I don't know why they're not interested in that aspect. Maybe they just think they'd have to do too much work if they did any recruiting. But for my team, I tell them, I'll do the contacting. Of course, as they grow teams, they'll want to get more involved. But for now, I can work with my second, third, whatever generation as much as my first generation. So, because this is full-time for me, and a lot of the people who are on my team work at outside jobs and just do Avon on the side. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed telling. Oh, in addition to never missing turning in an Avon order every 2 weeks, I have never lost my team. A lot of people will work with leadership a little bit. They'll get their recruits that are required to have an actual, what we used to call a unit. We just call it a team now. And you used to have 5 ordering. Or, if you didn't do that for a certain number of campaigns, they would drop off. It's not quite that. I think it's 3 now, really, that you need to have ordering all the time. And some people will just lose their team, fall out of leadership, start back again, fall out again, that kind of thing. But I've never lost the team. God has blessed my business. I've been able to keep it going with dedication. And it is work. It's a challenge to keep the business going, of course, but it's fun too. And I used to have hobbies like cross-stitching and reading. I still love to read, but mainly my reading is for education and Bible study, more so than any fiction. I am not into reading any of the modern type stuff or any of that. I don't even know about all that stuff. Or I don't do Netflix. We don't do cable. I have kind of gotten in. I guess one of my hobbies is now looking at old movies on YouTube. I discovered there were a lot of old black and white movies on YouTube. So you can call that a hobby, I guess. And the 1,000-piece puzzles that we put together sometimes, my husband and I. That's kind of a hobby. But mainly my business is my hobby because I enjoy it so much. It's a challenge coming up with, okay, what can we do today? What can we do today to get, get the name out there, to get more recruits, to get more customers, to get more people ordering online? Especially today, National Recruiting Day, all day long you're thinking, okay, what can we do? What can we do? And what are other representatives doing? And looking at the social media posts and things. And Avon has given us a ton of stuff to help us with all of this, So the training is there. It's all free. The information is there. It's just up to you. If you decide to start your own story, it's up to you what you want to do with it and how much you want to build it. It's your decision. You could just be ordering for yourself. I have some on my team who are just ordering for themselves. I have some that rarely talk to me. I mentioned that in an earlier video. I have some that I earned from Avon. There was a time that we had district sales managers and they did some recruiting and all of us with leadership did some recruiting, and some people just came into Avon by contacting Avon, and then the district sales managers were taken away and anybody going into Avon was assigned to somebody already working with leadership, which was a blessing, but there were a lot of people out there who had come into Avon and were not assigned to anyone because they had not come in under a leadership representative. Well, Avon said, we're going to put them under leadership reps, and the leadership reps have to earn them. So Yes, we had certain things we had to do to earn representatives, and I have earned them 2 different times. So some of them have been selling for years and years and years, and I really don't hear from them. I'm contacting them, with my things that I send to all of my team, mostly by emails, I do Facebook group for my team, things like that. But I don't hear from them because they are happily plugging along and content. But then I have others who really talk to me a lot. And we discuss their businesses and my business, and we just have fun, or we work together to try to work with the team and build the team, and come up with different ways we can help each other. So that's about enough for my story. I have enjoyed it, every now. There've been just a few times through the years when I've like, do I need to quit this? Do I need to quit this? But that's not been for a long time. Way back when, there were a few times when I was, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I need to move to, not to another business, but just not a business, And, but I stuck with it, and I'm happy that I did. And it's just getting better and better. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it because it's the truth.